Now, as you've already figured out, there's only two kinds of weather reports. There's ones that tell you what's going to happen. Those are forecast charts, and ones that have told you what has happened or is happening, and those are actual weather reports like the METAR. And you've also added a couple of graphical tools to your pre-flight planning list of things that you can use, and that's surface analysis and weather depiction charts. Now, both of those are based on actually observed weather, the existing conditions. So you might ask, are there any charts that show forecast weather conditions? And I'm really glad you asked, because I'm here to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, right in this neat 4-in-1 package, you can get a beautiful forecast picture of your pressure patterns, your fronts, VFR, marginal VFR, and IFR weather, all at a glance for you. Now, how much would you be willing to pay for this wonderful package? Wait, don't answer, there's more. In fact, if you respond to this offer before your next flight, your friends at the National Weather Service will throw in, at absolutely no extra cost, the freezing level, areas of moderate and greater turbulence, and precipitation. Now, you can't beat that, can you, folks? Yes, folks, it slices, it dices, and it cleans up all by, oops, I'm sorry, that's the wrong speech. Now, I hear you out there saying, I must have this. What's it called? Well, folks, this handy little tool is called your low-level significant weather prog chart. And if you want to spell it out long, you call it a prognostic chart. What does it mean to prognosticate? It means to close one's eyes and throw darts at a chart. No, that's not it. To prognosticate means to forecast. So when you see something labeled as a prog chart or a prognostic chart, you know it's a forecast chart. Now, seriously, folks, these charts reflect the best information the science of meteorology has to offer, and they give you a valuable graphic forecast. Smart pilots don't leave home without checking the progs. They're really a great help in avoiding things like turbulence, freezing levels, and IFR weather. Now, I can see you're with me here, so let's take a closer look at what you get in this fantastic deal. Now, I know you'd be willing to pay a lot more for just one of these valuable charts, but because you listened to this special offer today, you'll get all four for the price of one. And how much is that, you ask? Well, just like any other Weather Service charts, you pay absolutely nothing for them with a visit to your nearest flight service station or to your computer with Duet or the Internet. Now let's take a look at these charts and get some value out of them. First of all, these low-level significant weather progs are issued 4 times a day. They're issued at midnight Zulu, 600 Zulu, 1200 Zulu, and 1800 Zulu. Now, the two left charts are 12-hour forecasts, and the two right charts are 24-hour forecast. Now, the top two charts are the significant weather prognostic charts. They show you forecast weather for VFR and IFR weather. So they're similar to the weather depiction chart. The bottom two charts are similar to the surface analysis charts. They show you locations of pressure patterns and fronts in the future. But they also show areas of precipitation and with the symbols for the type of precipitation. Now, the symbology on these charts can change from time to time, but it's all shown here in this legend between the two panels. So let's take a look at the legend between these two panels. First of all, you'll notice that they have a solid line for IFR weather. We talked about that. That's less than 1,000 feet and our visibility is less than 3 miles. They have a scallop line for marginal VFR weather. And also, these top two charts are where you'll find turbulence and freezing levels, and they show turbulence with this dashed line, freezing level at the surface with this dotted line, and freezing level above mean sea level with this kind of dashed line. Now, let's assume that you've got yourself some prog charts here, and let's also assume that you're interested in the weather for 12 hours after the valid time of the chart. Well, that'd be the left panels, because the right panels are 24 hours after the valid time of the chart. So you'd use the left panels, and of course, to get a complete picture of the weather, you'd have to look at the upper and lower panels. But let's take a look at the lower panel first, because let's assume that we're interested in fronts. Well, here's our front coming along here, and let's assume that we're interested in the precipitation in front of this front. Well, what we have here is an area with kind of a dashed dot, with the precipitation inside of it. And we know that's going to be intermittent precipitation because of that dashed dot. We also have an R with a kind of an arrow going down here, and that stands for thunder showers. And then this upside down triangle over here with a black dot on it stands for rain showers. So in this area, we are going to have intermittent precipitation because of the dashed dot line, with thunder showers and rain showers. Now, what kind of ceilings and visibilities would we have? Well, to find out about ceilings and visibilities, we have to go to the upper left-hand chart. And when you get here, you find in the same spot an area enclosed by these scalloped lines. Well, that's marginal VFR weather. Marginal VFR weather is a ceiling of 1,000 to 3,000 feet and or visibilities of 3 to 5 miles. Now, we don't know which for sure is making it marginal VFR here, but one or the other or both are. So we have marginal VFR weather in this area. We also had intermittent rain showers when we looked at the other chart, and thunderstorms. And in front of that cold front, we were going to have those things, and we did it on the 12-hour prog. Now let's do something else. This time, let's go west, young man. Let's take a look at the western states here on the bottom chart, and we'll take a look at a front. And here we have the front. Remember, the fronts are on the bottom chart down here. And we have a low pressure area here. The thing I want to point out is you can see which direction this low pressure area is moving. It's moving to the east at 30 knots. Now, what if you wanted to know about turbulence in Southern California for the next 12 hours? Well, the turbulence is shown in the top chart. So let's go back to the top chart and take a look at the turbulence in Southern California. Next 12 hours, the left-hand chart, not the right-hand chart. And in Southern California here, we have an area with dashes around it. That's the turbulence area. And notice that we have this symbol with a mountain peak. And that means moderate turbulence. We know it's not severe turbulence because had it been severe turbulence, there'd be a little upside down V over the top of that mountain peak, and it's not there. So this is moderate turbulence. It goes up to, and think of this line as being the top of whatever's happening. That's the top of the turbulence is 18,000 feet. All you have to do is add 2 zeros to it. Now, what is the base of the turbulence? Because there's no number shown there. Well, this chart goes from where to where? It goes from the surface up. And so the base of the turbulence is at the surface. So we know now that in the left-hand chart we have, here in this particular case in Southern California, we have moderate turbulence from the surface to 18,000 feet. Now let's assume that you're interested in the weather 24 hours from the valid time of the chart. Well, that'd be the panels on the right side. Now let's assume also you've developed an interest in the freezing level in northeastern Oklahoma. Well, that works out real well. Now you'd use the top chart because that's where the freezing levels are. And son of a gun, what do we got here? Northeastern Oklahoma. Worked out beautifully. Well, all you'd have to do is follow this dashed line that tells you that's the freezing level and find out what it says. And we find out the freezing level is 8,000 feet. So what you have to do is add 2 zeros to that, just like you do cloud heights, and you've got the freezing level. Isn't this all just fantastic? I can tell by the looks on your faces that you've always wanted this little gem, the low-level significant weather prog, and you want to include it in your flight planning. So trot down today and visit your keyboard or the nearest flight service station, and you'll never regret it.